Okay, so one of the next things you want to do is you want to put some instructor information, some information about you. You want to post that to the class. So you can see I've done that here, and there's a couple different ways right at the top of my head that I can think that you can do this. One of the ways is the way that I did it, and what I did is I went to a Google Doc, and then I use Google Docs. So I went to one of my Google Docs, and I, after going to the Google Doc, I clicked up in the top right-hand corner up here on Share. And then when I clicked on Share, you can say Get a Shareable Link, and you'll see this right here. So I'm going to copy that link right there. And then I'm going to go back into the class after I've copied that link. And then I'm going to go to this top portion again, not in the weeks right here, but it's just general information about the class. I'm going to go to this top portion. I'm going to say add a resource. I'm going to say add a URL. I'm basically going to add a link to a website, but in this case it's going to be a link to my Google Doc. So I'll say add a URL right there. Gives me this. I'll put in some information. So I'll say instructor information for video. I'm just naming it that so I can just delete it later so there's not two of them in there. This is info about your instructor. So you can put whatever you want right there just as a description. I'm going to go where it says external URL right there. In other words, the website to my Google Doc, because each Google Doc can have basically a link to that doc. So I'll go right there. And then I'm going to say save and return to course when I'm done. And essentially what I get is I get a link to that welcome announcement in this case, but you'd make it information about you, but it takes me to that document, and that would be a document about you. One of the other things you can do is you can, I'm going to click back here, you can also say add a resource and just say add a file in this case, and when you click on add a file, it'll open this up, and I can go ahead and select a file after I put my information, put the name here in the description there. I can say add here, and I can say add a file and just say choose file. And then once I click on choose file, it'll open up documents on my computer. I would find the document that I want to add, being a Microsoft Word document or something like that. Double click on it and say upload in this case. So there's a couple different ways to do that. They have different advantages or disadvantages. One of the things that I like about Google Docs is if I make a link to my Google Doc that is my instructor information, then I don't have to update that information in both places. So if I go to my original document and I make some updates on my document when it comes to the information about me, it also automatically updates on my website, or in this case on my Moodle, because basically the instructor information on Moodle that I have is a link to that document, so it updates automatically. I hope that made sense. Sorry, it sounded a little bit convoluted to me, but I'm trying to show you what the advantages could be to something like that. But you can also just link to a regular file as well if you'd like to do that. But in the file, if you update the file on your computer, you then need to go to Moodle and then upload the new file, the new version of that document. All right, thank you.